After getting remarried after horrible previous marriage, I'm pregnant with another baby and posting about it online. But mom said I need to take it all down and never talk about my pregnancy or childbirth, because sister who slept and married my ex-husband is struggling with her fertility, and by posting about my pregnancy I'm implying that sister was the bad choice to my ex-husband. Here's what I did. I, 30 female, am currently pregnant with my second child. This baby is the first with my husband Walter, 30 male, but I also have a daughter, Emery, 6 female, from my previous marriage to Dalton, 36 male. It has been an exciting time for my family. However, my mom Mabel, 58 female, has demanded that I stop posting about my pregnancy on social media, saying that it is insensitive to my sister Sally, 33 female, who's struggling with infertility. A quick backstory. Dalton and I were married for 2 years and our marriage ended because he was sleeping with my oldest sister Sally and now they are married. Moving on, I have been sharing what I consider normal pregnancy updates online, ultrasound pictures, a few bump photos and occasional posts about baby preparation like picking nursery colors or craving weird snacks. Nothing excessive, nothing graphic and nothing that is not typical for expecting parents. These posts are for my friends, family, and a small number of people who genuinely care about what's happening in my life. To me, they are harmless posts about my excitement, about my pregnancy. Sally is upset by my post because she's been trying to have a baby for some time without luck. Mom believes my posts remind Sally of her difficulties and highlight how my life is moving forward while hers is not. She also mentions that my posts might come across as if I am showing off about my growing family while Sally is facing infertility. One particular thing Mom said that stood out to me was that posting about my pregnancy is making Sally look like the wrong choice to Dalton. That says more about Dalton than anything else. My mom has even suggested that I should stop discussing my pregnancy altogether, both online and in person. She believes it's my duty to protect Sally's feelings even if it means hiding this big happy part of my life from everyone. I was shocked when she said this because it seems so unfair and impractical. I'm pregnant and I should not have to hide that. It's not like I'm directly tagging Sally in my posts or sending her updates on my pregnancy. I've been minding my own business, sharing these pictures with people who are happy for me, and yet I'm somehow being painted as the bad guy. My mom thinks I should be more mindful of how my posts impact Sally's feelings. She believes that if I share about my pregnancy too openly, it might make Sally feel less than enough, which could harm our family relationships. She also pointed out that my posts might make Sally question her marriage to Dalton, especially since I seem to be moving forward while she feels stuck. This is where I start to feel like I'm being asked to shoulder an unfair burden. My social media posts are not about Sally or her struggles. They are about me and my family. My excitement for this baby has nothing to do with her, her marriage, or her fertility journey. Yet my mom seems determined to connect every dot back to Sally's feelings as if my happiness can only exist if it does not conflict with hers. What really gets under my skin right now is Sally's audacity. She actually had the nerve to tell me to stop sharing about my pregnancy because it might bother her. This is the same sister who stabbed me in the back in the worst way imaginable. She broke my marriage and now she wants me to keep quiet about my happiness for her comfort. I know it was not all her fault. Dalton played a huge part too, and I am furious with both of them. But Sally is my sister and she should never have done that to me. It's not about jealousy. I do not envy her life or choices. They are actually pretty bad. I just cannot get over how she made me feel. She hurt me a lot and instead of owning up to it, she acts like she is the victim and everything that happened to her was wrong. It is mind-blowing that she thinks she can ask this of me. I have put in a lot of effort to move past what happened, but stuff like this just brings everything back. Sally will not admit she messed up or take any responsibility for her actions. Instead, she expects me to make sacrifices for her as if I owe her anything. I actually feel pity for her. It's pathetic that she can betray her own sister and still think she deserves sympathy. I refuse to let her guilt trip me into hiding my pregnancy or the fact that I am happy. I deserve to celebrate this no matter how she feels about it. I have made the decision to keep my posts up and continue sharing updates about my pregnancy. I'm not going to flood anyone's feed with baby content, but I am also not going to hide this monumental part of my life. I deserve to celebrate this journey just like anyone else would. Mom has not stopped trying to make me feel guilty. She has sent me long texts saying I'm selfish and insensitive, and she has hinted that I'm trying to upset Sally on purpose. It is tough not to feel hurt by what she says, but I know I am not in the wrong. But this situation makes me wonder if I'm being rude or if my mom's expectations are too much. I never wanted to hurt anyone, especially my sister, but I do not think I should hide my happiness just to keep her from feeling uncomfortable. Ida for refusing to stop sharing my pregnancy just because my sister is struggling with infertility? Update 1. Hi, here's a small update. Things have not exactly gotten easier, especially when it comes to my mom. If you have read my previous post, You know how much she favors my sister Sally and how she has never really supported me, especially after everything that happened with Dalton. But lately my mom has reached a new level of petty and it has been really hard to deal with. Lately every time I post something about my pregnancy, which is not a lot, my mom has been leaving hateful and rude comments on them. At first, I thought it was just her being upset because of the whole situation with Sally. But it has been going on for weeks now. She does not just stop at one comment. She writes multiple things under my posts trying to guilt-trip me or make me feel bad for celebrating my pregnancy. It's like she's actively trying to make sure I am not happy about my pregnancy. At first, I felt blocking her accounts would do the trick. Whenever she dropped a hateful comment, I would just block her and hope that would be the last of it. But she just kept at it, making new accounts and commenting on the most terrible things. It felt like I was stuck in this endless loop. It got really tiring and I began to wonder if blocking her was even worth it anymore. So now I have just given up. I let her comment whatever she wants and I try my best to ignore it. I do not respond to her comments and I really try to stay out of the drama. But honestly it is tough. No matter how much I convince myself that her words do not matter, they still sting. She's my mom and it is hard to watch her behave like this. She should be my biggest supporter, especially now that I'm pregnant. But instead she's making things harder for me when all I want is to enjoy this time. I have been really excited about this pregnancy. It feels like a new beginning for my family, but my mom's constant negativity is really bringing me down. I have even thought about taking a break from social media altogether, but I do not want to give her that kind of control over me. This is my life, my pregnancy, and I should be able to celebrate it however I want. I have already given up so much of my own happiness just to keep things smooth with my family and I am done with that. I deserve to enjoy this pregnancy and share everything with the people who truly care about me without feeling guilty about it. That being said, it is really hard to brush off my mom's comments. She knows just how to push my buttons and even though I try to let it roll off my back, it's not easy. Her words stay in my mind. It's like a constant reminder that no matter how happy I feel, there is always someone out there trying to bring me down. I could really use some advice here. How do you handle stuff like this? How do you keep someone's hurtful words from getting to you? Especially when it's coming from someone as close as your mom. I would really like to know how others cope with situations like this because I want to get over it and enjoy this special time without her comments dragging me down. Update 2. Hi. A lot of people wanted to know more about what happened with Dalton and Sally, so here it is. A few months after Emery was born, I started noticing changes in Dalton. He was becoming more distant. He spent less time at home and always seemed uninterested. He would come up with excuses to be out, saying he had work or errands, but something felt off at first. I convinced myself it was just the stress of being new parents. We were both exhausted and adjusting to life with a baby, so I thought maybe he just needed some space. But as the weeks went by, his behavior only got stranger. He seemed emotionally detached, barely engaging with me or Emery, and I could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. One day, Dalton was receiving a lot of text messages and the notification was very annoying and I was trying to get Emery to fall asleep. I picked up his phone to put it on silent and also because I wanted to know who was texting him so much. I just peeped from the notifications. The texts were from Sally and she wrote, "It has been too long. When are you going to tell her about us?" I went straight to Dalton after I read this. When I showed him the message, he did not even try to deny it. He admitted to everything claiming it just happened and that they had not meant to hurt me. I was not surprised about Sally. She always made passes at guys I dated, so this was her pattern, but I hated that Dalton did this to me. I filed for divorce almost immediately. There was no fixing this. I was done. I did not want to fight or drag it out. I just wanted Dalton out of my life. I will not lie, looking after Emery on my own was very difficult. I had no help whatsoever. My mother was busy helping my sister plan her grand dream wedding. Oh, and 2 months after our divorce came their wedding. My mom, who always favored Sally, tried to pressure me into going. She said it was important to keep the family together and that I should move on for Emery's sake. I refused. There was no way I wanted to watch my sister marry my ex-husband. It felt like a betrayal from them and from my mom too. She did not seem to care about how much I was hurting. She just wanted to keep up appearances and make Sally happy. After everything with Dalton and Sally, I thought moving on was the right choice for me and Emery. I could not stay stuck in the past and I had finally found someone who truly cared about me, Walter. He was kind, patient and supportive in ways Dalton never was. I met Walter about a year after my divorce and we got married after a year and a half of dating. When Walter and I got married, I saw it as a fresh start, but instead of people supporting my happiness, they made me out to be the bad guy. Some thought I had moved on too quickly, like it was not fair or right for me to be happy after everything that had happened. Dalton's family, in particular, made things even worse. They could not understand how I could move on so fast from the man who gave me my child. They even made allegations that I must have been cheating on Dalton all along. claiming there was no way I could get over him so quickly unless I had already been involved with someone else. It was so ironic, but they were trying to make me the villain by saying I did what their son actually did, but I ignored them. I am genuinely happy with Walter now. Update 3. I recently found out some news about Sally and Dalton from our cousin, and honestly it was pretty mind-blowing, as you all know. Sally has been struggling with fertility for a while now. She has always wanted kids, and I thought that like many couples they had gone to a doctor to get tests done and to see if there was something medically wrong, but apparently that was not the case. They did not go to a doctor. They just assumed that Sally was infertile because Dalton and I had Emery. They figured it had to be her because in their minds, since I had a child with him, it must be her that is the problem. But here is where it gets wild. A few days ago I got to know that Dalton had actually gotten a vasectomy right after our divorce. He did not tell Sally about it, and for almost 5 years he let her believe that she was not good enough for him because she could not get pregnant. He did not want to be a father anymore. So he took this step to ensure it would not happen again, and he kept it a secret from her. All this time Sally was blaming herself for not being able to have children, thinking it was something wrong with her. She was devastated, and to make it worse, Dalton never came clean about it. Sally, of course, had no idea. She had been going through the motions of trying to conceive, seeing doctors, doing whatever she could, while Dalton just sat there knowing the whole time it was not her fault, it was his. He let her suffer in silence, and she genuinely believed it was her fault. She thought she was not good enough for him because she could not give him the family he wanted. She felt broken. She was falling apart, and all along, Dalton kept his secret, manipulating her emotions. I cannot even begin to imagine how hurt and betrayed she must have felt when she found out the truth. Apparently, a few days ago, Dalton came home drunk and finally told her everything. I'm not sure if he was feeling guilty or if he just reached a breaking point, but he told Sally the truth about the vasectomy. He finally came clean about the lies he had been telling her for years, making her think she was the reason they could not have kids. The truth was, it was his decision all along. He had closed the door on their chances of starting a family, and instead of taking responsibility he let Sally think it was her fault. On one hand, I feel for Sally. She's my sister. No matter how much I despise what she did to me with Dalton, I cannot help but feel bad for her. She's always wanted to have kids, and she has struggled with the pain of not being able to conceive. It must have been absolutely heartbreaking for her to think it was all her fault, especially knowing how much she wanted to be a mother. But then I remember everything that she did to me, and it is hard to feel too sorry for her. Dalton, on the other hand, is someone I cannot even look at the same way anymore. It's bad enough that he cheated on me with my sister, but to go and do this, to manipulate her for years to let her believe that she was broken and unworthy, I'm really speechless. The way he dealt with everything, hiding the truth from Sally and letting her go through all that emotional and mental pain, is just too much to even describe. He is such a coward. He wrecked our marriage, broke our family apart, and now he's doing the same to Sally. As for me, I'm still moving forward with posting about my pregnancy. I know some people might think I'm rubbing it in their faces, but I'm not. This is my life and I have the right to celebrate it. I'm not going to let anyone guilt-trip me into staying quiet about my pregnancy, especially not my mom or Sally. I know my mom probably does not like it, but she has not said anything to me about it. I think deep down she knows that I'm done trying to please everyone else. I'm done letting her call the shots, and I really do not care what she thinks about my happiness anymore. I'm tired of people trying to dictate my choices, especially when they have never supported me. Update 4. I had a baby girl. We named her Everly, and she is absolutely perfect. Emery has taken on the role of big sister like a natural. When Everly was born, a small part of me thought my mom might finally have a change of heart despite all the hurtful things she has done and said. I hoped she might put everything aside for the sake of her new granddaughter. I imagined her showing up at the hospital or calling to check in, but she did not. There was no call, no visit, not even a text. I tried to prepare myself for that possibility, but it still stung. She's my mom. No matter how rocky our relationship has been, I thought the birth of Everly might bring us closer, at least for a moment, but that moment never came. A few weeks after Everly was born, I posted a picture of Emery holding her baby sister. It was such a sweet moment and I wanted to share it. I am so proud of my girls and it felt right to celebrate them. Most of the responses were kind and supportive. Friends and family congratulated us, shared their love and said the nicest things about them. For a while it felt like everything was good, like I could enjoy this moment without thinking about anything else. My mom dropped a comment and for a second I thought maybe this time would be different. I was hoping she would say something nice, even if it was just a little compliment, but no. She went all out with the nastiest, most hateful stuff I have ever read. And this time it was not just aimed at me. She directed her anger on my daughters, her own grandkids. I will not repeat what she wrote because it was so awful, but it left me completely shocked. Before, her hateful comments were always about me. She would criticize me for moving on from Dalton, accuse me of being selfish and say I did not deserve happiness. That was bad enough and it hurt, but I had been learning how to deal with it. This was different. This time she crossed a line I never thought she would. To see her direct that kind of hatred towards two innocent children, especially her own granddaughters, was devastating. I just sat there staring at her comment. I could not believe what I was reading. How could my own mother stoop so low? How could she say such horrible things about Emily and Emery? They have done nothing to her. They're just kids. It felt like she was not just trying to hurt me anymore. She was attacking the most precious part of my life, and that is a feeling I cannot even describe. I told myself I would not let her get to me. But this time it is different. It's not just about me anymore. It is about my daughters, and that makes it so much harder to ignore. No matter how much I try to brush it off, her words stick with me and it is hard not to feel the sting. I feel confused, hurt, and unsure about what to do next. My mom has always preferred Sally and I have learned to live with that. I understand she has never truly supported me, but this situation feels much worse. How do you come to terms with the idea that your own mother can act this way? How do you deal with the fact that someone who should love and support you can be so unkind? Update 5. A few days back my cousin called me with some surprising news. Sally and Dalton are getting a divorce. Honestly, I was not really surprised. Given everything that has gone down, it seemed like it was bound to happen still. Hearing it stirred up a lot of feelings. Part of me felt a weird sense of satisfaction, like karma was finally catching up with them. But I also felt a bit sad. Sad for Sally, sad about the chaos she has created, and especially sad for Emery, who's going to be caught in the middle of all this. Not long after that call, Sally reached out to me. I totally did not see that coming. We have not really talked in years other than her occasional passive-aggressive comments through family. She has kept her distance and I have done the same, so when I saw her name pop up on my phone, I hesitated. I almost did not want to pick up, but my curiosity got the best of me. I was dying to know what she had to say, especially with everything that's been happening. When I answered, her tone threw me off. She was being super sweet, almost too sweet. For a second I thought someone else called and I read the name wrong. I had to double check. She started asking about my kids, her voice all sugary and warm like we were best buddies. How's Emery? How is the baby? I've been wanting to check in on you. It was so strange to hear her talk like that, as if all the past did not exist. I answered her questions politely but kept it short, not wanting to give her any chance to dive deeper. Something felt off and I was not about to let my guard down. Then she got to the point and she told me that she and Dalton have separated and are getting a divorce. She did not share many details about the reasons, but I had already heard some from my cousin. It was obvious from her voice that she was trying to paint herself as the victim, conveniently ignoring her part in the mess that led to their relationship in the first place. Once she told me about the divorce, Sally changed the subject. She began to explain how tough everything had been for her, saying it felt like her whole life was crumbling. Then she said something that truly floored me. She asked if I could help her out in any way. She said, I was her sister and it was my duty to help her out, as if that was reason enough for me to drop everything and rush to her side. She said I should be there for her because that is what family does. The audacity of it all nearly made me laugh out loud. I could not help but laugh, not because I found it funny but because I was so shocked by her nerve. Did she really think I had forgotten what she did to me? Did she think all the hurt and betrayal could just be swept under the rug because she's now facing the consequences of her own actions? I reminded her exactly what she had done. I told her how she had slept with my husband, ruined my marriage and turned my life upside down. I told her that even if I could help her out, I would not. She had made her choices and now she had to live with them. Her tone shifted right away. The sweetness disappeared and she got angry, but I did not hang around to hear more. I ended the call, blocked her number, and a weird sense of relief washed over me. For the first time in ages, I felt like I was in control. I was not going to let her manipulate or guilt-trip me into doing something I did not want to do. I stood my ground and it felt empowering. I have spent so much of my life trying to move past the pain she caused me. When she and Dalton did what they did to me, it felt like my whole world was falling apart. It took years to piece everything back together, and even now at some point it affects me. I have worked hard to build a life that makes me happy. A life with Walter, Emery, and Evely. Letting Sally back in would just bring everything right back, and I'm not willing to take that chance. What really gets under my skin is her sense of entitlement. She never reached out to say sorry or even acknowledge the hurt she caused me. It's like she did not even think about how her actions impacted me. Instead, she acted as if I was the one who owed her something, like it was my job to help her fix her mess. It is frustrating and honestly a bit heartbreaking. She still does not seem to get that her actions have consequences, and sometimes that means losing the people who care about you. Blocking her was the best choice I could make for myself. I do not want her drama or negativity in my life, especially now that I'm focusing on my family. I have come too far to let her pull me back into the chaos she created. Maybe one day she will wake up to the damage she has caused and take some responsibility, but I'm not counting on it. Update 6. Hi. So some of you have been asking about Dalton and his relationship with Emery. So I thought I would take a moment to share. To put it simply, their relationship is almost non-existent. When Emery was born, I really thought Dalton would step up as a father. No matter what happened between us, I believed he would want to be a part of her life, to be there for her as she grew up. But over the years it has become clear that he is not interested. He barely ever reaches out, and when he does see her it is infrequent and feels more like a chore for him than something he actually wants to do. Emery does not really know Dalton that well, which breaks my heart. She does not seem to feel any connection to him and she refuses to call him dad. I have never pushed her on this because I feel like it's her choice. Instead, she calls Walter dad, and honestly I think that says a lot about how she feels. Walter has been there for her in every way Dalton has not. He's the one who reads her bedtime stories, helps her with school projects, and takes her to the park. He loves her as if she were his own and she absolutely adores him in return. Sally and Dalton are officially divorced now. From what I have heard, the breakup was not exactly smooth. Sally is now living with my mom, which makes sense since they have always been close. I have not spoken to either of them about it and I do not plan to. I have kept my distance from that part of my family and it has been better for my mental health. Speaking of my mom, there is a bit of unexpected relief in that situation too. After months of leaving hateful and cruel comments on my social media posts, she has finally been banned from Instagram. At first, I tried to block her accounts, but she kept making new ones just to harass me. It was exhausting and her words hurt more than I would like to admit, but now that she has been banned there is finally some peace. I do not have to open my phone and see her comments anymore, and that has been such a weight off my shoulders. Life feels a little quieter right now and I'm focusing on enjoying that with my family. Emery and Evely are happy. Walter continues to be the best partner and dad, and for the first time in a long while I feel like I can breathe without all the extra family drama.